Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
I can't go back to that, Dan.
Can't go back to what?
To any of it. Those guys, the gang, that life, I'm done with it.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Joe again from Grindhouse Grotto. Welcome back to my channel. Tonight I'm going to be reviewing a different film that is not typical of what I review on this channel, but I have deliberated on this film for quite a while, and I've now have the courage to actually review this film. It kind of made me nervous, I'm not going to lie, because I think a lot of people are hypersensitive to movies of this nature, and it doesn't matter what your political affiliation is, what your thoughts are, on life in general. I think there's just an overall message in this movie that is very empowering, very thought-provoking, makes you think about your life and where you stand on certain things. And that's why I'm reviewing this movie tonight, guys. I felt very discouraged for the longest time to review this movie, even though I think it's a very empowering movie. It has an amazing message, and if you read between the lines, this film, it's not about, who's on one side or who's on the other side. It's about where we all stand in the middle. And, I'm going to get into my thoughts on this film, but I want you to think about that throughout this review. Think about our culture and think about our history. And this film, American History X, makes you think about our history and where you stand with your beliefs, and makes you question your beliefs on things. If you're on the left and you think a certain way, or you're on the right and you think a certain way, at the end of this movie, the miraculous thing is that you find yourself in the middle. You find yourself thinking about how everybody sees things. Our society is very black and white, and it's very intriguing how this movie moves from black and white scenes to color scenes when they're going from the past to the future, or to the current times. And that's just excellent storytelling from the director of this movie. But yes, this is a very controversial film. I'm not going to get too political in this review. I want to talk about this movie itself and the good qualities of this movie. Okay, I'm not a racist person, so I'm just throwing that out there. I get along with everybody. I've never had any issues with anybody. I see this movie as a thought-provoking retrospective of our own political climate in the United States, where we've come from to where we are now. And this film came out in 1997, I believe. So, nothing too serious politically was going on at that time. But several years later, more than 20 years later, and you think about what's going on in our country right now, and it's very haunting, okay? This film is it's an embodiment of our society that we live in today. And it's very, very haunting. I watched this film, again. I've seen this film many times, and I saw it again several weeks ago. And it was the first time that I'd seen it in many years. And I wanted to give it another try, and I was just blown away by how amazing this film is. From start to finish, you feel at the edge of your seat. You feel very uneasy at times. At the same times, you know, it doesn't matter what side you're on. You find yourself nodding your head at different viewpoints from both sides. And you're like, holy shit, like, I'd never seen it that way, or I never thought of that. And like I said, it's not what side you're choosing. It's about, like, where you find yourself in the middle, which is very fascinating, because the way they directed this film is they wanted you to be very uneasy. If you were on side A, you know, you were going to see things from side B that made you very uneasy, that made you challenge your own thoughts on things. If you were on side B, you were going to be looking at things on side A and be completely uneasy. So, you know, that's the nature of this film, and it's fascinating how everything comes to a culmination at the end of this movie, and you're left just blown away. You know, it makes everybody see that we are all the same. At the end of the day, we're all the same. It may be very, our reality, our life may be very black and white, but at the end of the day, we're all the same. And it's a very powerful message. So what I want to do, I've talked a lot about my thoughts on the film. What I want to do now is kind of just do a quick little synopsis of the story, and then kind of just wrap it up with my final thoughts on this movie. Alright, so American History X came out in 1997, stars Edward Norton and Edward Furlong, the two Eds. Both are amazing actors. Edward Norton is just a very versatile actor. He plays two different roles in this movie. So he plays a neo-Nazi in flashback scenes in the beginning part of this movie. And then he goes through somewhat of a transformation. He goes through pretty much a complete transformation throughout this film, which is just phenomenal, okay? So you see both sides of the story portrayed by Edward Norton's character. So he has been radicalized as a neo-Nazi in his neighborhood. And so, I can't remember what city it was. I think it was Los Angeles, or maybe just another city in Southern California, where there's a lot of, you know, Hispanics and black people that have moved into the neighborhood. And his father basically was killed in action when he was a teenager, and he blames it on the interracial tension that's been going on in the neighborhoods. And he relates a time when he was a young child where, you know, it was a strictly white neighborhood, and now we've got, you know, other races that are moving in. And so he feels like his society is going to crap, and he rallies up all the people in his neighborhood to take on all the different races that are, you know, are now occupying his city. And as the movie progresses, we see that, you know, he is now imprisoned for the crime that he committed early on in the film in flashbacks. And his little brother is basically following in his footsteps and becoming a neo-Nazi. And while he's in prison, he becomes befriended by some black people. And that's where the whole turn, the movie takes a turn, is that the people that he thought he could trust are basically not who he thought they were. And actually, he becomes friends with people from different races while he's in there. And he sees things from a different light. And sees that his whole history, everything that he's thought, everything that he's known up until that point is not true. It's like it's a fake reality for him. And so he eventually does his time in prison and gets out, and he's gone through a complete transformation, and he comes back to his city that he's living in, and you know, his family's basically all in shambles because they've never recovered from him, you know, his act of violence that landed him in prison. They've never fully recovered from that, and you know, they are you know, just a torn family. His mother has now you know, remarried and stuff, and he doesn't agree. You know, they show flashbacks of earlier in the movie when he's at the dinner table. It's one of the most controversial scenes. His mother marries a Jewish man, and he completely does not agree with it. And it just, yeah, there's just so many scenes throughout this movie that are, you know, that are just very, very uneasy, make you feel very uneasy. And they're designed to make you feel uneasy, to make you think about things and think about, is it really right for someone to think that way? No matter what side you're on, it's gonna make that, whatever side you're on in this movie, whatever your political thoughts are on things, it's gonna make you feel uneasy and it's gonna challenge your viewpoint. So his little brother is basically played by Edward Furlong, is following, and God, what is his name? Derek Vineyard is Edward Norton's character. So Edward Furlong's character is basically following in Derek's footsteps and becoming a neo-Nazi like him. So when Derek gets released from prison, he comes back to town, sees what's going on, and wants to stop his little brother from following his footsteps. He fears for his safety. He doesn't want him to end up in prison like him. And basically at that point in time, the whole town that they live in is now, it's like they're at war, at war. There's like racial tension going on. And yeah, guys, this movie ends so crazy at the end of this movie. The final scene left me just completely blown away. I remember seeing this movie a long time ago. I didn't see it in the movie theater. I think I maybe rented it or watched it with my parents or something. I don't know. It was a while ago. I think it was in high school when this came out. I remember watching, I think, with my parents. And I just remember like sitting in the back of my seat and being just like, oh my lord, like, this is a very disturbing movie, but at the same time, you're like, it's so thought-provoking, it really makes you think about everything, And they do different things throughout the movie that basically make you think one way, and they want you to really suck you in, they really want you to think something. So if you were a young kid watching this movie, you might like be invested in Derek's character in the beginning of the movie, where he's this like really jacked. I mean, Edward Norton got extremely ripped for this movie, so they made him look really like big and tough and everything, and appealing to like younger kids that would be very naive and that would fall into that thought process, or fall into that fall into that lifestyle. Okay. And then throughout the movie, when you see Derek go through his transformation, you realize that it was just a false ideology. So that's how they make you think. They make people that have a certain viewpoint change their perspective throughout this film, and it's just amazing. I think I've kind of hit on my point as far as how this film changes people's perspective. That's kind of my overall thought on this movie. That end scene that I'm talking about with the bathroom, oh my lord, like that made me seriously like cry. I felt bad for Edward Furlong's character. I mean, I know the whole movie is messed up, but it was like I was rooting for Derek to intervene. I was like, please, Derek, please stop your brother. Like I wanted his brother to stop. You know what I mean? I was like, this whole movie is just so messed up. Just please stop him before it's too late. And then he gets his brother at the end of the movie in the bathroom and finds out his brother's been killed. And he's just holding his brother in his arms. And there's nothing he can do. The whole story comes full circle. And his brother can't be saved. It's too late. And that's how the movie ends. And it is just crazy. To this day, I still don't understand how Edward Norton didn't win an Oscar for this movie. I think he was nominated for an Oscar, but he didn't actually win it. Some other actor got it, won the Oscar that year for a different movie, which blows my mind because if you look at all the movies that came out during that time period in 97, 98, I can't remember another movie that made me feel the way this movie made me feel. And I think it's just because of the overall, what this movie's about. People are scared to talk about it because they don't want to be labeled one way or labeled the other. So people are afraid about it. And that's kind of why I was a little bit intimidated about reviewing this movie. Because like I said, I get along with everybody. And I don't want anyone to think that I am one way or the other. Because I'm completely open to anything. I'm a very open-minded person, and I respect everybody's viewpoint. But people are very hypersensitive in this climate that we live in this culture, this current state of our country right now. And so, you know, people are very easily offended. But I think this movie is just has a very powerful message that, you know, as messed up as it is, I feel like, you know, our kids should be watching this when they're in high school. You know, Eddie Furlong's character is writing a report about American History X. He's writing a report about his brother who's in prison, and it's trying to teach him the error of his ways and his flawed viewpoint. But anyways, guys, those are my thoughts on this movie, American History X, that came out in 1997. This is the only Blu-ray that I know that exists. There might be more. I'm sure there's other releases in different countries, but this is the one that I own. I bought this earlier this year in a Blu-ray bargain bin at Best Buy, and I think it was like $6. But I hadn't have it in my collection at that point. I never owned it. But I saw something that just popped up on my newsfeed about American History X, and someone else, another YouTuber, was reviewing it and was talking about some of the similar things. And you know, he was giving his viewpoint on it, and I was very intrigued by what he had to say about this movie. So I went out and bought this Blu-ray. I saw it at Best Buy in the bargain bin, so I went out and bought it, and I wanted to review it as well. But like I said, I was just very intimidated by it, about reviewing this and not offending anybody. So anyways, those are my thoughts on this film. Very controversial movie, but I'm very glad that I was able to review this for you all. If you haven't seen this movie, don't be intimidated by this movie. It's gonna make you feel uneasy. That's what this movie does. But it's like a good kind of uneasy. It makes you think about things, okay? From both sides. No matter where you stand on things, it's gonna make you feel uneasy. It's gonna make you think about things. So, do I recommend this movie? Yeah. If you have a very sensitive stomach and you're easily offended, then I would say no, don't go out and get this. But if you're open-minded like I am, and you are able to look at things from both sides and you don't get offended easily, yeah, definitely, I recommend this. This is an amazing film. It's a triumphant film. It's very empowering. It has a powerful message at the end of this movie. It just blows your mind. You're just so, like, the transformation that Edward Furlong goes through is just amazing. Go ahead and get this movie. Go and check it out. Rent it. If you don't like it, then don't buy it. It's not for everybody. But it's a phenomenal film. I recommend it if you are, you know, somebody that is intrigued by our culture and intrigued by, you know, different people's viewpoints. That's all I got to say about this movie, guys. I hope that you enjoy this review as much as I did. Great film. If you enjoy this review, give me a thumbs up, guys. I would highly recommend it. Leave me a comment in the comment section. Do you feel the same way about this movie? What are your thoughts on American History X? Do you see some of the same viewpoints that I do? Did you get that uneasy feeling watching this movie? Anyways, guys, if you are not subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because I have reached the 100 subscriber giveaway mark, and I'm going to be giving away 4 movies that are absolute classics that deserve to be in anybody's collection. Go into my channel, check out my 100 subscriber details video, and make sure you subscribe to my channel to be considered for that giveaway. Alright, guys, until next time, take it easy.